So here we got 2020 event exclusive Mortal Kombat Storm Collectibles. This is Scorpion. This is the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive for 2020. Well, this is one of two Comic-Con exclusives that were released. You had to get them online, of course. San Diego Comic-Con was canceled. But, you got some cool box art. Scorpion with his flaming skull, looking very reminiscent of Ghost Rider. Pretty nice picture of the figure there on the side of the box, so I can dig that. And then on the back, you've got his various poses and different accessories and things that he comes with. So, we're not going to waste any more time. Let's pop him open. So here's Scorpion out of the box. I just removed them. I haven't messed with any of the accessories yet, but overall, I like the feel of this figure. Now, Storm Collectibles, as many of you know, makes really solid, pretty heavy-duty figures. This is, this isn't like SH Figuarts, for example, that uses kind of a lighter weight plastic. These guys are more of a like rubbery, solid plastic. And the overlays are like kind of a soft rubbery, so you do get some like movement and stuff out of that. But yeah, just in case you've never messed with a Storm Collectibles figure before, that's what you can kind of expect with this. Now looking at the color of the hood and of like the neck tunic type thing that he's got on, it's almost like a faded leather. Like it looks like it's been through some wars, and it's got like some almost like brown shading on it, which I didn't expect, but honestly I kind of like. It does set him apart from previous releases of Scorpion that are just kind of the straight black and yellow. Speaking of this, by the way, fun story, I actually just ordered a jacket like a couple weeks ago, and I ordered black, and it came sort of similar to this color, and I was really upset about it because it's not actually a black jacket, is it? So, that went back today. But now I see Scorpion rocking that same color, and I'm like, well, at least he's happy with it. I went and just returned it, and now I'm going to have to get another jacket. That's what you get for having to shop online in 2020. But what am I even talking about? Let's look at this figure. Now, the head sculpt is different from any of the previous Storm Collectible Scorpions. I don't believe this mask comes off, which is different because the original Scorpion had a removable mask that you can swap between two different ones, and the second Scorpion that they released was the same thing. You had different masks that gave you a couple different display options and what have you, but this is all one. Now, when this Scorpion was first announced, a lot of people kind of looked at it as like almost a 2.0 of the original Scorpion that they made, the MK1/2 version. But I did some research, and I actually figured out that this is pretty spot on to MK11's classic Scorpion skin. Right on down to like these tassel things here that are tied around his waist. Now, in the game, he has like sword sheaths that are like attached to his side. And obviously this version doesn't have that, but he does have the deco for it. So I'm pretty confident that that's what this is based on. Like if you look at the gauntlets on his wrists, they're done the same way. The way the mask is handled is done the same. So design-wise, this is pretty much spot on out of MK11 for that classic costume. So that is cool to see, and it gives people who missed that first Scorpion a chance to get a classic-looking Scorpion without having to go back on the secondary market and pay like, 300% of the original price or whatever the case. So let's get a look at some of this articulation. Now the head, you will be able to twist side to side like that with no real problem at all. You do get a little bit of back on it, not a ton. I mean, well, you get a little bit, but if you work with the ab crunch, yeah, he can look all the way up like that. But as far as just the neck goes, you do get a little bit of like down too, so he can kind of look down in front of him. So that's pretty good there. You get shoulder joints that move about up to 90 degrees, which I like that, and they obviously go all the way around like this too. And double jointed elbow, which works really well. This is just a separate piece, the little gauntlet thing, so that swivels around on his wrist. Hinge in the wrist, which is cool, so you can spin that around as well, so you can move it and manipulate his hand however you want. Now, I have heard some complaints, aesthetically speaking, about the shoulders. They're really kind of big, like bulky shoulders, and I've heard people say it kind of reminds them of like Toy Biz Marvel Legends, that kind of thing. But I think you can work with it. Like, you can bring him a little forward and down to kind of give him a little bit more of a natural pose. Now, that doesn't make it perfect, but it does make it so that if you work within your angles, you can kind of make him look a little bit better. Or you can bring him back for like action poses. So hopefully, if you get this guy in an action pose, it won't be as noticeable. But vanilla, yes, I can see that his shoulders might be a little big for some people's tastes. As far as torso, you do get a torso twist in there, so he can turn, it's all like kind of underneath the softer plastic parts too, which is nice. And you do, as I pointed out before, you get a decent ab crunch forward and back, and if you manipulate the neck to go with it, you'll be able to get him to look farther down or, higher up. So I failed to mention earlier when I was moving the shoulders around that you do get a butterfly joint in there, which is really nice, and a bicep swivel, which looks pretty good because it's right above this little I don't know, bicep wrap thing that he has on. So they made that work pretty well, and aesthetically speaking, looks pretty good. So at the waist, the hip joints will give you a little under 180, so almost a full split, which I think is pretty good. The joints are done more like the recent figures. So if you remember, the original version of Scorpion had like the ball jointed hips, and those tended to get loose after a while. My Scorpion is definitely, well, only one leg really functions anymore because I put him through absolute hell with that stop motion. Link right up there. Watch that, please. But yeah, this one I think will hold up better and be able to pose more for longer lengths of time. He does have a little twist in the thigh swivel, I guess. Yeah, it's more, mine seems to work better on this side than this one, but that's probably just down to loosening it up. Double jointed knee, as you can see, that goes considerably far, which is nice. At the foot, you get a nice ankle hinge, a little forward and back, along with the toe as well, which I think works pretty well. And he also has a nice rocker joint in his ankles, which will get you some nice posability. So overall, pretty happy with how he moves around. Storm has always been pretty good with their posability and articulation and everything. They're also really good with accessories, which, let's have a look. So apart from the fists that are on him out of box, he also comes with 3 different sets of alternate hands. Now, he comes with a wide open, like martial arts at the ready style hand. He comes with a pair of like gripping hands to hold some of his accessories, and you know, if you have other accessories, I guess you can use those in here as well. And then he comes with like kind of more like, I don't know, curved finger, like martial arts pose style. Maybe he's like grabbing somebody's wrist as he's about to like do a move or something. So I like all the extra hands here. Let's see what else he's got. So he comes with a lot of flame effects. These clip onto his hands, or onto his wrists, I guess. These are just meant to be like stationary on the ground, so you could like put him in there and have like fire swirling around him. I think those are cool, and I think you could use these for actually a lot of different things. I can imagine like setting these up behind, you know, let's say like a Godzilla display or something where you could like put like burning buildings and all different things. I think that could be cool. So yeah, these are pretty all-purpose effects actually. So the fact that Scorpion comes with so many of them, I like it. You get these 2 giant ones, and then like I said, the 2 ones that clip to his wrists. Here's what that looks like. I think that's pretty cool. Move the fire around so you could have it like beside him too, whatever you want to do. Or you could have him like summoning it and put somebody else in the fire and have him like just fighting him with it. Yeah, nice options. In addition, he also comes with this like uppercut effect, which makes it look like he's just like doing a flame uppercut from all the way from the ground, which I think looks really cool. I might have preferred it if it was like a little shorter tail. Like when you consider Ken from Street Fighter V, his flame effects were very similar to this, but they were only a shorter length, so you could actually like have it be, I don't know, he wouldn't have to come all the way from the ground up like that. But who am I kidding? In Mortal Kombat, the only way you can do an uppercut is if you duck anyway, so it would be coming all the way from the ground, so whatever. It's a cool effect. And I guess technically it doesn't have to be an uppercut. You can have him do like a diving, like thrusting punch or something like that. So yeah, this is pretty versatile, but I think I prefer the other fire effects. This is still pretty cool to have though. And lastly, you get his little kunai. Now this time around it's on an actual chain. Previous versions of Scorpion had it kind of molded as like a plastic rope. And what's cool about this, I don't know if you'll be able to see because of the way I got my camera set up. So this here is actually a loop on the end of it, so you'll actually be able to like pop the hand off and just put this on his arm and put the hand back on. So it does attach to him in some way, which I think is really cool. So here's what that looks like. It's fastened around his right hand there, and I just looped it around and changed the hand out so he could hold on to it with his left hand. This was actually the first time I changed this figure's hands, and as with many Storm Collectibles figures, really easy. The hands are made of a softer plastic, so they just pull off and pop right on, and you don't have any issues. I like this though. This looks good. And lastly, he comes with, of course, his alternate head for his fatality effect. And, well, this is alright, but I don't think it's as good as the first version. Granted, the first version didn't have the flame effects, it just was like a regular skull, but the skull itself was painted better. This part on top actually just pulls off, and he's got like a little fire, like toupee hat thing, so you could probably actually use this on the first version. We'll find out. But yeah, I like what they did. Concept is pretty good, but unfortunately, because of the way the neck peg plugs into this, you're not going to get a ton of back motion, which means he can't like look up much. So I mean, the jaw is hinged, which is nice, like the original version, and I do like the look of the flames. Obviously, it's done well and it'll catch light well, but I don't know. Just the skull itself, I think, is painted a little bit less detailed than the first time around. So for me, this is cool, but the first version was cooler. So here's the new Scorpion, flanked by previous versions of Storm Collectibles Scorpions. That's the original one that came out, the MK1/MK2 style one, with a custom like chain on a Kunai that I made a long time ago, which incidentally is very similar to the one that came with this Scorpion. So pretty cool. Looks like great minds think alike. And then this is the ultimate MK3 version of Scorpion. People call this the MK3 one all the time, and I guess technically they're correct, but I don't know. To me, Scorpion wasn't in MK3, so I have to say Ultimate MK3. Hopefully none of you suffer from that amount of ridiculous OCD like I do. Anyway, these two are very similar, as you'll see. They got kind of like the quilted, you know, tunic type thing that they're rocking. They got both the same kind of like shin guards with knee protection, whatever the case. As I mentioned, this is basically meant to be an updated version of this look. So, you know, I think they did a great job with it, honestly. This is its own thing altogether. All the ninjas got redesigned when they got put into Ultimate MK3, so that's why this one looks different than the other ones. What I do like, though, is that they're closer in scale. People pointed out when this one came out that he was much larger than the original ninjas, and Storm is kind of all over the place with the scale, honestly. So, you know, if that's going to make or break you, then that's something you should definitely be aware of. But yeah, overall, I think this is a nice upgrade to this. They're not exactly the same, and I think aesthetically speaking, I still prefer this one. But this one I think will be a better quality figure. As I mentioned, the ball pegs and stuff inside the hips, they're prone to get a little bit loose. Like, look at this. This is the guy I tried to animate. Imagine animating this. What was I thinking? Color-wise, you can also see that they're a little bit different. This one in the middle is more of like a honey Dijon mustard, while these two are more French's yellow. So, you know, I like the upgraded color, as I mentioned, kind of the subtle tones of brown and stuff in the cowl and the neck piece and everything else. So, really cool. I dig it. Now here are some of the accessories from the Ultimate MK3 Scorpion. He comes with the axe, and this is what I was talking about before with the get over here. It's just a rope piece of plastic. It's rigid. So if you prefer those accessories, you can definitely use them with this new figure, and I think they'll look great. So you can kind of see what I mean about the paint on the older version of the skull. That's what I have attached to the figure right now, but unfortunately the neck peg is way too long, so that's not going to do much for you. But yeah, I still prefer the old one. Luckily, I have the old figure, so I can just use it on that if I want. And the flame toupee attaches to that too, although without the additional flames on it, just kind of looks silly. So he looks like that little character from that movie. I can't place him right now, but maybe he's on screen. So while the skull itself doesn't fit, the flame effects do fit from the original Scorpion as I knock him over. But yeah, you can see that these actually look pretty good together, and you can use the fatality effects. You can probably combine them with the new effects too, actually. Yeah, actually adding the new effects with that really sets this over the top, in my opinion. If you're a fan of uniformity, boxes look great together, side by side, really cool. And here it is with the boxes faced the other way around. You can see they each show the figure with like the accessories and everything. Really cool. You almost have enough to start a band here. I wonder if there's ever been a band called the Scorpions. Just kidding. If you don't know the Rhythm of Love and Don't Stop at the Top, you're cheating yourself. Yeah, everybody likes Rock You Like a Hurricane and There's No One Like You and, you know, all their radio songs, Winds of Change and Still Loving You. Great stuff, but yeah, check out those other ones I mentioned. You might like them. So final thoughts on this MK11 style classic Scorpion. I really do think that as far as figure quality goes, this is an improvement over the original Storm Collectibles like MK2 style Scorpion. The lack of ball joints in the hips I think is going to overall help you be able to pose the figure for longer and not have to worry about it loosening up or any of that kind of stuff. The original Ninja mold is showing a few signs of age just with regards to that kind of thing, but overall I do think that they're all nice figures, and I think that this one quality wise is going to hold up. Aesthetically speaking, I still do prefer the original one. So, I mean, that's just because of the classic MK fan in me. But this is not a bad figure by any stretch. In fact, I would highly, highly recommend it, especially if you missed that first release, because you're still going to get your fill of classic Scorpion, in my opinion, from this figure. Now, this one is, I believe, at the time of this recording, still available on, I don't remember if it's Bluefin or Big Bad or one of them, but I think it's still popping up as I record this at the end of September 2020. So, if you did miss this, you still have a pretty good chance of grabbing it for retail price. And as far as I know, Storm Collectibles, their Comic-Con exclusives a lot of times remain available for a while, and they'll keep popping up from time to time. So that's worth checking. I know there's some of my viewers who watch like my Mortal Kombat stop motion and have been upset that they missed those figures, but this is a chance to get a Scorpion that, in my estimation, is probably going to be just as good. So yeah, by all means, go ahead and get yourself one. As I mentioned, there are a few minor little things about it that I think were better done the first time around, like the skull head, the detail on that kind of thing. But overall, the fact that you can use all the old figures accessories with this new figure, combined with the fact that this is a very cool aesthetic, it's a modern version of a classic, you can't beat this. I like this a lot, highly recommend it. If you want it, go for it. That said, my name is Captain McKay. Thank you for watching this video, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next one. Leave me a like, go watch my stop motion, all that kind of stuff. All right, later on.
That's crispy.